Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening. I think, despite the check that I did earlier, the harp probably didn't play there. I'm not sure why. I did a test run earlier and that was absolutely fine. And I've just realised I've not turned my light on here, so would you in a tick? There we go. Yeah, that's better. So yeah, not sure why that was the case, but never mind. The test worked fine, so that's a bit strange. Anyway, I think there's a few people still coming on stream, so I'll say hello to the ones I can see. So I can see Lewis, Andy, Ashleisha, Sandy, David, and there's a whole bunch of other people. Oh, Nicola Hanma is also there. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of others who haven't necessarily said hello on the chat. So hello to you as well. So hopefully you can hear my voice okay. Please let me know. So, because I've just seen a comment there from Ashleisha saying, and hello to Curtis. Yeah. Okay, I think you can hear my voice, so I'm gonna press on. So yeah, as you know, the title of this stream is Who is this self in self-realization? Who is this self in self-realization? Or who or what is this self? Because it's the subject of a little bit of confusion. Hi, Lee and Nicola as well. Yeah, subject of a bit of confusion because we talk about self-realization without really thinking about what this self is. And that can lead to all sorts of confusion and myths around the whole subject of self-realization. So I just want to kind of look into that just a little bit, just kind of explore that. Hello to Christine as well, and point out what it is that we're focusing on here. And as part of it, I'm also going to read you a little poem that came to Lee a couple of weeks or so ago, I think it was, which really kind of captures the essence of what I'm going to talk about. She quite independently had got this after a meditation, and it kind of asks some important questions that are all connected with that. So I'll do that in a while. But I'm going to start with the trusty fiber optic lamp that I've used many times on various streams. The light's quite bright, so you're probably not going to be able to see the light at the end of the fibers, but normally there's a blue light shining from one of these fibers here. And we can use that as a metaphor for who you think that you are. You know, a person with this body, with this name, with this, you know, male, female, or whatever you consider form this story. And that's who you think you are. And you spend most of your life looking out into the world, thinking that all these other people are separate from you. And that's how we look at the world. However, what we need to be focusing on is what gives birth to all of that. And I talk about the self, the realized self, as infinite. Silence. Key word there, infinite. infinite, boundless, formless, timeless essence, pure awareness, pure consciousness, or absolute consciousness might even be more accurate. And it's that is the true self. And in our little metaphor here, hopefully you can see this, I'm just trying to get that in the picture. The light from all the points you'll see comes from this base of the lamp, the fiber optic lamp, and that's what generates the light at the end of the fibers. And that in the meditation are referred to as spheres of light, or the pure state I am, or often known as the unassociated I am, or the pure I am presence. And most importantly, nothing after the words I am. Nothing, just I am, and I am equals being. So all of the beingness in the human being comes from this one source being. This is a very powerful and creative energy, and in the Hindu tradition it's referred to as Hiranyagarbha. But for me, spheres of light, Hiranyagarbha, same thing, pure state, I am. But then we need to consider, where does that come from? What is the source of being? What comes before being? And that is the silence itself. And on the metaphor here, it is like the battery or the power. The universe is an infinite field of self-aware energy. And it is that self, big S, self-aware energy that creates first beingness, then form, and then experience. It chooses to express and experience itself. Because in the absolute, that is infinite, there is no contrast, there is no time, there is no space, there's just awareness. And this awareness is awareness purely of itself. And for experience, you need contrast, you need time, and you need space. The idea of separation, which is how we experience the world, because there appears to be things, an unfolding, a flowering, an expression over time. But the self in self-realization is not personal. Let me say that again. The self in self-realization is not personal. It is the infinite itself. And if it's infinite, then there can be nothing outside of it, and there can be no personal identity. It's just pure awareness. And it is that we're talking about when it comes to self-realization. This infinite self, this infinite silence, or isness. And it just so happens that in English, the two words infinite silence, for short, break down to is, I-S, is. And that infinite silence you'll hear referred to as isness. And it is isness that gives birth to beingness, that gives birth to form, that gives birth to space-time experience. So when we're looking at, and we talk about people, it's a spiritual seekers, consider ourselves as seekers. This self that is being sought is the infinite one. And if it's infinite, then there can be nothing outside of it, because that's the nature of infinite. So this whole field of experience, going back to the fiber optics here, all of this must therefore be contained within, let's say, the infinite sphere of awareness. All of it must be contained within the infinite sphere of awareness, like some kind of giant virtual reality, if you like. This would be quite a nice metaphor, a good pointing to it. All of that experience is taking place and being witnessed or observed from the infinite sphere of awareness, the infinite silence. And because this is infinite, and everything that we consider to be form, the normal world we're operating in, this is therefore completely interconnected, and there is nothing outside of it, and there is nothing separate from it. What could be separate from the infinite? It must all be connected. Again, back to the metaphor, all of the fibers, all of the points of light come from this one source. This one source, and hence we use the term oneness. Oneness, infinite silence, universe, source, all the same. Self, big S, self, true self, is the infinite silence. One of the insights that came to me to be able to articulate this to you from the silence itself, not from here, not thought about like that, came in a meditation, and it's this sentence, and it may appear at first to be a bit of a mouthful, but I'll say it all slowly, and then I'll break it down and show you what it's pointing at. And the insight came like this: all that I am is all that am I. You'll notice there were 3 ises in the middle there. Let me take that in bits. All that I am is. First is. All that I am is. So there's going to be something in language after that is. All that I am is. What is this then that's going to come after? It's the word is again. Is for isness. Is for infinite silence. Is for source. Is for true self. So let's go through that first part of the sentence again. All that I am, first is. Let's say that's a capital I-S for isness, infinite silence, self, true self. The sentence then goes on, is, small s, that am I. Let's go through it again. All that I am is small s, small is, isness, is all that am I. And the two I's, all that I am and am I, these are the infinite I's, not the personal I that we're so used to. We say I this, I the other, I the other, I this, I that. No, this I, it's saying all that I, infinite I, am, is isness. It is all that it is. I am I rather. Quite a mouthful. But it's a very important insight, and it's been expressed in a very particular way because the pointing in it is very deep, very profound. Try looking at that, try writing that down for yourself maybe. All that I am is capital IS, is all that I am I. Notice the sense of the latter part of the sentence has changed from I am to am I. That is also very deliberate. It's pointing to before beingness. Remember, I said beingness is like the spheres of light, the pure I am presence, the pure universal I am. The self, the true self, is before even the idea of being. Before even the idea of being. It simply is. And this isness is formless, timeless, self-aware, infinite energy. This is the self. This isness is the self that a spiritual seeker seeks. This is what actually everybody, and I mean everybody, is looking for. Hidden in plain sight, you might say. Hidden in plain sight. I'll write the sentence down here. Just bear me a second because I don't think that was done. Like that. Hopefully you can all see that. That was the message. Notice I've put that capital IS in the middle. Now, people become or choose to seek. And the seeking is like a block to the realization because it's not outside. Nor, in truth, is it inside. It's actually everything and no thing. No thing. So that which you are looking for or seeking is actually that which you already are. But this you is not the personal you. It's the infinite and true you, which is completely non-personal, the isness, in other words. And it's infinite. And all of these expressions of the infinite, like the fiber optics, and that's just the people, all forms, all planets, all stars, all galaxies, you name it, are just simply different expressions of consciousness that the Absolute chooses, if you like, to create, to experience itself. And the confusion arises when this I, this infinite I in that sentence, beingness is created, a form emerges. This infinite I gets itself confused, or the infinite I doesn't get confused, but the individual form confuses itself with, let's say, a little I, the egoic I. It thinks it's the body, it thinks it's the form, and the more it gets attached to that as an idea and a belief and an experience, it goes round in ever decreasing circles, and it's like a vicious cycle of identification that can lead to great suffering. The way out of the loop, so to speak, is to realize that actually all of this must have emerged from something that is higher. And that awareness is that which is observing and witnessing all of life, always. In one of the live streams I talked about, it's number 19. The title of that one was Beyond Phenomena, from Awakening Experiences to Absolute Self-Realization. Expressed that way, absolute self-realization. In other words, infinite self-realization. Because any and all phenomena are all witnessed, all observed. Just take the experience of yourself in this body, some more or less now. You notice, there's a body here. It is being observed. There may be sensations in the body. They are being observed and reported. Same with thoughts. They are being observed. Same with smell, taste, touch, sight. All of them are being reported. I can smell this, I can taste this, I can see this. The interesting one with thoughts, though, is that we don't often see that they are also being watched. We start to identify as being the thought, when actually the thought appears and you have a choice as to whether to go with that thought or just simply watch that there's a thought there and let it pass. What is it that sees, observes, notices neutrally, is unmoved and untouched by it? What is it that sees the form? What is it that sees or can notice beingness? Just pure I amness. That's the self. All of this experience of beingness and phenomena is contained within the infinite field. All of it is being, occurring in this infinite field. So the trick with the realization of the self is to notice that which is already present in all its expressions. The awareness is coming back to the source. And that's why the meditation goes that way. It takes you back. The infinite silence meditation comes back right to the very core, to the pure witness. And even the witness is a facet within the silence that allows that to happen. Then there's just awareness. Before all phenomena, before being, before space, before time. There's just awareness. And that's what you are. Awareness. And then the physical form is the gift from awareness to experience itself, for without form and being, space and time, there would be no experience, there'd just be awareness. And we could say that the self, the true big capital S self, chooses to create this expression so that it comes to know itself, experience itself. And it's only in the confusion with the identity, with the form, where the suffering comes in. Ego is not a bad guy or girl. It's the identification, the attachment, and the belief in that as the identity that creates the problem, or the experience of suffering, the perceived problem, when in truth there never was one. So that leads me to talk a little bit about, so just before I go to that, the other stream that's very relevant to this one, I mentioned stream 19, beyond phenomena, from awakening experiences to absolute self-realization. Another very relevant stream you might want to consider watching again is stream 18, and that's the infinite silence meditation, explored and experience, because in that I go through that fiber optic metaphor in a lot of detail. That's well worth. So these two, 19 and 18, are particularly relevant to what I'm talking about here. And then another one that's equally relevant in a slightly different way is stream 6, entitled A Letter from God. This talks about the nature of the silence in there also. This self, as I've said, is awareness. Just awareness. That's all. That's the self in self-realization. And you're that. Always have been that, and always will be that. So we go to this seeking thing, and this is why basically it becomes self, big S, realization, this infinite self, because it is realized, remembered, you're that infinite silence, the isness, the source. That is the realization. But it's non-personal. Non-personal. So hence the little phrase I have on the cards. It's about realizing, not seeking. It's about seeing, not looking. It's about finding, not searching. It's about accepting that which is here. Sometimes it's expressed this way. I believe this one I'm going to quote now is attributed to Eckhart Tolle. Whether he said it or not doesn't really matter. It's an accurate pointing. You get there being self-realization, by realizing you, this is the true you now, are already there. You get there by realizing you are already there. Which leads me to talk about a few myths. Myth number 1. Self-realization is only for the special few. Complete nonsense. This is an idea and a belief that has no foundation whatsoever. It may be that, relatively speaking, only a small proportion of people or beings have realized that they're not a person after all. They're actually the infinite expressed in this form. But the fact is, all of us are that. It's here for all. The kind of block between it, the fundamental block between the realization becoming, let's say, experiential and it not, is the belief that you are this form, this story, this being, and everything associated with it. But if that belief, single belief, is dropped, totally, utterly, unequivocally, completely dropped, the realization is inevitable, because all the other beliefs and all the suffering that goes with them will automatically drop with it. It's inevitable. If there's one inevitability in the universe, one certainty in the universe, is that you are, the true you are already the realized self. But the belief that you're not that creates the experience that you're not that. Hence, drop the belief. It's here for all, folks. It's here for all. Another fundamental myth that you often come across in the journey, so to speak, the journeyless journey to the realization of the self, is that somehow it's an achievement. It's often made into a goal that's time-based. And unfortunately, this blocks the realization. And the reason it blocks it is because of what I've already said. Is because it's already here. It's already here now. It's not some future goal. It's not some special person. The only difference, or the perceived difference between the one, let's say, that has realized and the one who appears not to, is the apparent belief that they're not that, and so creating the experience of not being the infinite. But that's not true ultimately, and yet it is the experience, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's perfectly okay. doesn't make one better or higher or lower. No, you're still the self. There's just been, let's say, a temporary case of amnesia. That's all. It's not a future goal, it's not a time-based effort, it's an opening. The realization of the self is an opening to that which is here. And all of the baggage that gradually falls away is really an appearance of a series of choices being, no, I'm not that, 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 until all that's left is the isness, the absolute, the source. So that's another myth. The next one I want to talk about I've already covered, really, in that it's not personal. So one can think of the realization that's flowered. Let's take the Buddha, that he was a person. Well, no, the realization is non-personal. It appeared in the form that was the Buddha. The one that was in that form had to hold that form in place, like a grain of sand in the oyster. But the realization was the same, whether it was the Buddha or whether it was Jesus or Osho or any other contemporary realized beings. And that kind of personalization of the self can be a big problem, because you can start going into guru worship or teacher worship, and this in itself is a block to the realization. The one that it appears to be pointing, signposting, guiding, knows that you're already that, and simply helping you see that you're that. The devotees that are often talked about in Eastern traditions can become fixated on personhood within the realized being, when actually the true devotee is a devotee to the infinite, the absolute, the self, a devotion unto itself as itself. It's not to a person. It's not to an expression that you might call a guru. It's to the absolute. Even the one that is realized is a total devotion to that absoluteness. That might be a surprise. You could even say the realized one is also a devotee. But the devotee is not to personhood, it's to truth, it's to the infinite, to the absolute. Another myth. People have actually asked about all of these in one way or another in events. Somehow there's this idea that the realized one is sat in a cave or in minimal clothing somewhere in the Himalayas or in India or something like that, and that they don't function as normal people. This is also a complete and utter myth. There's plenty of contemporary beings in Western civilizations. Certainly the Eastern traditions are much more focused on it than we are in the West. But you can live a perfectly, let's say in quotes, normal life and still be realized. Still going to have to do the shopping, do all the normal things, like that old Zen saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. In the first case, there was suffering. In the second case, there's realization. But you're still functioning. And actually, there's a greater clarity in inspired action rather than going with lots of mental activity. So there's another one. Another big one is around death. Talk about death, and this is the great fear of ego, but its fear is of its own demise. It's not the body form that needs to die, it's the identification and the attachment and the belief in this small I identity that needs to die. Then the little grain of sand that becomes the facet of the diamond, that's the individuation expression of the absolute, the drop in the ocean that knows it's the ocean, then this is the realization made manifest. It becomes experiential. So the dying is not a physical one. It's a dying of identification, a dying of attachment, a dying of belief in that which you are not. Here it is, and you are it. Non-personal, absolute self-realization. So when it is said, you are already that which you seek, we're not talking about a personal thing here, we're talking about the non-personal absolute realization. That bit is true. You are already that, and you can't not be it, but you can create the experience of believing in something less than that, and then suffer as a result. It's so simple, really, in the end. And yet, for most of us, it appears as a journey, and the journey's fine, as long as we don't get too caught up in the journey. It is that kind of sincerity of following the calling of the heart, the calling of the silence, to its natural flowering, that will lead you home. Grace will lead you home. So at this point, I want to read. In fact, what I'm thinking I'm going to do, actually, I won't just read it just now. I'll guide you into the meditation and then read it. So let's get ready for a meditation now. Maybe sitting down or lying down. I'll guide you into the infinite silence meditation in the normal way. And then I'll read, as part of that, this verse, which captures in a beautiful way a lot of what I've been pointing at. So simply closing your eyes and first bringing your attention to your body. And as the attention rests on the body, simply being open from the heart to the experience of spheres of light. the pure universal sense, I am. Just resting your attention on this state. I am pure beingness, this aliveness. And as the attention rests on this state, I am, know that it can do so because it is witnessed or sensed from the deeper essence that is infinite. Silence. So simply allowing the attention to merge, melt into, become the silence. All phenomena appearing, being observed, being witnessed from this silent essence. And as you rest there, your attention in and as the silence, I'll now read this verse that Lee got after her meditation. So you're not just listening with your physical ears, but the whole of your being. It's entitled, Who Are You? Who are you when everything falls away? Who are you when there is nothing left to say? Who are you when your name is left unsaid? Who are you aware within the darkness? No thoughts left to be fed. The you without any judgment. The you underneath your name. The you without your story. The you will always remain. The you that's always here. The you that is always awake. The you that has no struggle. The you that has nothing at stake. The you that senses everything. The you that is eternally here. The you that is your own rock. The you that encompasses all that is here. Who are you when everything is stripped away? When your naked rawness is an ocean of infinite silence. Who are you beyond what's normal, imagined, or concluded? Beyond the you who thinks. The you without limits. The you melting with the cosmic space. This one. This unidentified, formless, timeless, eternal, infinite, silence, awareness, stillness, presence, this one is you. Simply is. Simply here. Now. No effort required. Here it is. Here the true, non-personal you is. All that I am is all that am I, the infinite I. This one truly know is silence. Good. Just know that the attention can rest in and as this silence always. Just simply allowing the flow of life as life to spring forth from the infinite ocean of silence. Just resting with your attention there. I'm going to put on what is normally the harp screen. It may or may not play. I will be back, but I just want to get something for you. So just rest in that space. Good. I think the harp played there. Why it didn't work at the beginning and it did then, no idea. Just gently bringing yourself back to this space, noticing the chair that you're sitting on, or the floor or bed or whatever you may be lying on. Keeping the attention rested in and as the silence. And when it feels right for you, just gently opening your eyes. And I think there's probably one or two people who came on the stream part way through there. Simon, I saw, maybe some others. So hello to you. We've got some time for questions if anybody has any questions. But whilst I'm just waiting there to see if there's anything anybody that wants to ask, just gratitude for Lee for that beautiful poem. You can find a copy of that on the forum, and if anybody's not a member of the forum would like to join, you need to message me and I can give you a link. There's lots of information on there. That particular one is under the Insights and Experiences section. It's a really beautiful poem, so thank you to Lee for agreeing to let me share that. It was just so synchronistic in terms of what I'd had in my consciousness that needed to be focused on for this stream. Yes, lovely to read it as well. It was, Lee. Perfect for what I was looking for. Thank you. So yeah, if there's any questions, we can do that. Otherwise, I've got some announcements to make. So first one, some of you may have seen on Facebook, I have made an announcement today. The link for that announcement I've put on the stream chat. You can see it under my name, just above where Ashleisha says gratitude. I'm not going to go through the story. It's really something that's quite important that you read and digest. And there's also a video on my Facebook timeline and also on the YouTube channel. It's called Self Realisation in Honour of Jeannie, R.I.P. Jeannie left a legacy. I'll let you read the story on that link. You can find it on the website, on the chat here, on my Facebook timeline. It's the most recent blog that's been published. It's an opportunity that from this legacy that Jeannie has left to partake in a 3-month, half an hour's meditation a day. And for the 10 people, there'll be a free one-to-one. But please read the story. See if you are called. And let me know if you are. It's a very important announcement. Very blessed and honoured to be able to gift that legacy to you. The other announcements are that I am back at the monastery in Manchester on the 10th of February for the next take on the Open Self-Realisation program. So that's the 10th of February at the monastery, 11:30 till 4 in the afternoon. Suggest arrivals from 11 a.m. and we'll have a break for lunch at some point in that process. Yeah, yes, it is, Lee. I agree. It's a beautiful offering that Jeannie made, completely unexpected. I have to say, I could not believe it when I was contacted. But anyway, to find out more, folks, read that story. So yeah, monastery, 10th of February. Those called, welcome. The next stream I'm going to do on the 2 weeks from now, so that will be the 15th of February. Same time, same place, on this channel. Yours truly, and you beautiful folks joining us. 15th of February. Don't have a title for that yet. I did have one coming to me and then I forgot to write it down. So we'll see what comes. So 15th of February, same time, same place. Was that it in terms of announcements? Yeah. Oh, just to also an update. Should be sometime in the next probably month. The two of the new single page websites will be being launched. The Open Gaze site as a standalone page, and also the Alchemy of the Spirit site as a standalone page, which will be the Transmuting Fear into Love. These will both point back to the main site, but those experiences will be easily accessible. You won't need to go searching for them. And also, I've had a prompt to reinstate the original Spheres of Light site. That was a standalone site at one point. And I'm going to reinstate that because that Spheres of Light meditation, the first part of the meditation, was what some of you first experienced with me, going back nearly 7 years now, 6-7 years. And it was very powerful, and what the silence called for that to be available as like a stepping stone, as a standalone meditation for people. So that's going to happen. It'll be in the format of a single page site again. So that's another one that's coming. That'll be a bit behind the other two because not started on that one yet. So let's just have a quick look at the comments here. What's Lee saying? I love these streams, so helpful, keeping me meditating regularly. Thank you all. Ashleisha says, love the words, I get too quiet. People don't have much to say. That's fine. If you're deep in the meditative space, it's best to stay there. You don't have to say lots of things. But if there are any questions, you can post them. And I'm fairly certain the music did work there on that last piece. So what I might just do is go to that screen and give you a little bit of harp. Fingers crossed it'll play. If it doesn't, I'm going to check it on my phone. If it doesn't, I'll come back and finish the stream. But let's fingers crossed that works. So the harp did play there. That was a different track to one you've heard before, and I've made the mistake on one or two previous streams of not mentioning but all of the harp tracks, I have mentioned this in the past, but all of the harp tracks are played by Tara Cook, who's actually attended quite a number of the events, and actually quite a lot of the tracks from the album that is called Heart's Song, which you can buy from Tara and Ken. Quite a lot of the tracks on that came to Tara as improvisations from the silence after she'd attended some events, Infinite Silence events. She'll confirm that to you, but certainly a number of those tracks, they just kept on appearing. I remember her texting me saying, "Where's this music coming from?" And my response was, "It's coming from the silence." So yeah, if you want to buy the CD, I think they're about 10 quid, well worth it. This particular track that we had tonight is called Seeking. The last few streams have been Heart's Song, and on most of the other videos on my site, I've used a track called Opening. There are, I can't remember, there's 6 or 7 tracks on the album. So, played by Tara, recorded by Ken, collectively known as Omnisphere. Omnisphere, very appropriate name. So I know that Lee's very excited about getting a lap harp, so that sounds really good for you, Lee. I look forward to hearing you playing that. Lewis saying the live streams keep him meditating and refocus, especially good on the dark days. Yeah, delighted to hear that, Lewis. Anything else? No, I think that is it. Doesn't look like we have lots of questions tonight, so I will leave you with the harp. The track is called Seeking, played by Tara, recorded by Ken. Have a great weekend, everybody. Please do, even if you have a read of that link, whether you pick it up from here or on the website, Self Realisation in Honor of Genie. Very special legacy and a very special offer that I'm honoured to be able to bring to you. It requires a deep commitment from you, and if you're called to that, then you might be one of those lucky 10 that gets a free one-to-one. But please read the story, it's very important. And as I say, there's a video about it on YouTube and also on Facebook. So at that, it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Good night. I'll leave you with the harp.